it's your girl Celestine's Camera Roll, and I'm back. It's Saturday, and y'all know what it means. It's story time Saturday. So welcome back. Either you're here because I have a beautiful baby boy who I'm about to do this mommy journey with, or you're here because you enjoy my story times on Saturdays. So let's get into this video. And today's story time is going to be about finding out that I was pregnant with my baby boy Ezekiel, who is now 8 months old. And we're going to talk about the pregnancy, how it went, what it felt like, all of that. How I ended up having a second child by my third child's father. I have a 15-year-old by this guy, and now an 8-month-old. Now, how I ran back into him was that I'm friends with one of his other child's mother, and we have been friends for years. And I had decided, you know, my other kids were teenagers, and it's time for me to live life and get out of this holding on to my children when they already told me they weren't deciding to come along. And at this time, everybody has their cell phones. You know, you can download the app and do video chat. I'm just gonna move from Cleveland back to Akron. I lived in Akron previously. When my first set of kids it happened actually in Akron. So I decided, I said, I'm not gonna stay in Cleveland no more. I had moved to where I was paying $700 a month. I had a job. I was making like $2,000 a month. I had that job for like a year and a half, and I decided that, you know, I was like, if I gotta live low income, it's gonna have to be in Akron, because Akron's apartment and their low incomes are very beautiful. First, you gotta start small, and then you gotta go big. Before my children even got teenagers, I wanted another child. And so I moved to Akron. I was staying with a friend. I was talking to my friend who was, you know, his other child's mom. And they were talking on the phone, and she was like, I told BD that you was back here in town. And he was like, oh, give her my number, give her my number. I took his number, and I think I texted him or called and left a voicemail, and then I texted him and let him know, you know, who it was. When he called me immediately, he was like, man, I gotta talk to you. I want to know how my daughter doing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, she doing real good, she doing real good. She down there in Cleveland, whatever. He was like, oh, I miss you too. I want to see you too. And I was like, okay, well, I got an appointment in the morning at 10 o'clock. After I get done with that appointment, I'll come see you, or whatever the case. And he was like, I can come get you. What time is your appointment? I'll take you to your appointment. So it was a housing appointment for me to get housing. So he literally came, picked me up, took me to my AMHA appointment. When he took me to my AMHA appointment, he dropped me off. He was on some show off stuff. I forgot to leave that part. My BD is a big show off. I hate that about him. I can't stand it. So when he pulled up to my mom's house to pick me up, he pulled up in his green truck with the big ass wheels. I don't even know how many inches the wheels was, but however big the wheels is, I couldn't get in his car. Like, he had to lift me up to put me in the car. It was like a big car with rims, shiny rims. And it looked like it had monster truck wheels. So he hoisted me up. He put me in the car. He like, how? And it was dead of winter. And he was like, how you doing? Da, 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 this and that. So we get to the AMHA office. I hop out to get into my appointment. And when I hop down, he's like trying to kiss me in the mouth. And I'm like, you know, I don't want to do all of that. He's like, all right. Let me know when you're done with your appointment. Call me so I can come back and get you and we can chill. So I get to my appointment. He comes back and he gets me, and we go back to his house. So when we go back to his house, when he comes back and gets me, he tries to kiss me in the mouth. I don't know why he kept trying to do that, but we get in his car, we go back to his house, and the first thing he said when I walked in his house was,
go upstairs and take your clothes off.
I'm like, he think I'm supposed to just lay down with him because he took me to an appointment? This ain't that. I was celibate for a year, and then I was kind of thinking about it, like, maybe. So I was like, all right, let's go upstairs and chill first. So we goes upstairs, we chill first. we have a discussion, because I tell him, I said, look, I feel like I'm going backwards. And he says, it's not going backwards. Why you say that? I said, because I go forwards in life. I don't go backwards. And I said, in order for me to deal with you, when we have a child that's 15 and she's somewhere else and you want me to lay with you, I need you to do something about your child. I said, because ultimately, I don't mess with a man that don't take care of his kids. And at the time, he had custody of 2 others. And so he was like, all right, I'll do it. I'll go down there in 2 weeks. And then before that even happened, I had went back. He dropped me off back to where I was at. Faith, my other child, had called and was on the phone with me. She was like, what you do today? I was like, oh, I was hanging out with your dad. She was like, you was hanging out with my dad? Y'all be kicking it? This and that, this and that. And I was like, yeah. So I guess she felt away because me and her father was hanging out and she wanted to be a part of that. Like, wow, both of my parents. So it made her be like, can you tell my dad to get me? Can you tell my dad to get me? No, she said, can you get me? Can you get me? Can you get me? I didn't want to get her because the lady Pearl has such a negative outlook of me based off her own personal mental delulu state of mind. And so, like, it was like she's going to throw me under the bus. Like, last time we went to court, she told that I tried to have a pregnancy ending session with, and tried to tell the judge that that's why I didn't love my kids, and the judge had to tell her, like, whoa, we can't do that. And so then I was like, I'm not about to go in there with her doing that type of stuff. So I asked my child's father that day that we just talked about to get his child. And I was like, she want to come with you anyway. So he started having contact with her, telling her, hey, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you. And I was like, your dad going to get you because, one, I don't have housing right now. I just went down and got housing. And I said, if I don't have a place to stay, what am I going to tell the judge? And then I told him, I said, I will get her back from you once I'm housed and settled. That was the plan. So I started kicking it with him, going to his house. He started coming to get me 8 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, coming and getting me to spend the night at his house and stay for the whole weekend. It was that type of thing. Time progressed, months progressed, and I end up getting my own apartment. He moves me into my own apartment because my friend, let me not call her a friend, let's not use that term loosely, because an associate that I knew that I used to know from when I lived here the first time, I offered to pay her rent. She allowed me a room, and then she started acting funky and funny, and that made me feel uncomfortable, so I left. So that's when my BD was like, pack your stuff, forget her, don't give her nothing else, and let's go to your apartment. I know you don't got a bed or nothing, but we'll make it work. So I ended up moving in here, getting all my stuff. He ended up with custody of Faith no longer than like maybe a month or 2 after I moved in here, because I asked him to take custody. He got her, and then boom, right before he got her, I found out I was pregnant. I bought a pack of 2 Clear Blue pregnancy tests that came in a box of 2 a month or 2 months before I got pregnant. It was like I had already been living here 2 months, and then he had got Faith like the 2nd month that I was living here. He had got custody of her. And I was like, now my BD do not like to, he like it raw, and he don't like to use any type of nothing. And then he'll tell you, I'm not gonna PO. If you don't know what PO means, you know what I'm talking about. It's a birth control method. Use your mind if you can. And he was like, I don't do that. So then I was like, in my mind, I was like, I feel like I'm going to end up getting knocked up. And I was like, I don't mind if I get knocked up because I want another baby, because my parenthood was snatched from me. So I was like, I'm just going to brace myself for it. So 2 months before I even got pregnant, I bought 2 packs of Clear Blue pregnancy tests. Now, the first test I took was on May 10th. And it's weird because I was in the laundry room. I was washing my clothes in the laundry room, and I kept feeling this urge to go upstairs and use the bathroom, like to pee. So I go upstairs to pee. I go back down to the laundry room, and as soon as I'm like, I gotta pee again. I'm like, I feel like I'm peeing too frequent. I was like, I'm about to take one of these pregnancy tests. So I goes upstairs, and it's 2 days before my period is supposed to start. I goes upstairs, and I go in my closet, and I grab a pregnancy test. I was going to wait until I dried my clothes so I wouldn't have to keep going up and down, up and down. So I go in the bathroom. I take the pregnancy test. I actually did a YouTube video about me taking that pregnancy test. don't know how to show you guys this. Can you guys see that? I didn't get a good visual of it loading because I tried to hurry up and grab it, but it's still loading because I just urinated on it. And I took the first one on Sunday, and then I took another one like 2 days later, I want to say. And if you could see, the line is light, the positive line is light, and then the second line on the second pregnancy test is darker a few days later, which meant the hormones was getting stronger for the pregnancy test to become positive. I was like, wow. So I got scared, and I was like, I'm not about to tell him I'm pregnant right now. Because the first time, now let me tell y'all, when I was pregnant with Faith, I did not tell him that I was pregnant with Faith. I didn't tell him that she existed. I waited until she was 4 years old. That's another story time. And I just didn't want him to know that I had a baby by him. And I'll tell y'all why on another story time. And I was like, damn. He even warned me before I got pregnant. He was like, if you get pregnant by me, you better tell me. You better not do what you did with Faith. You better tell me. You better tell me if you come up pregnant and I'm not playing with you. So I was like, okay, forget it. I took the pregnancy test. I was like, I'm going to tell him, but I'm going to wait till tomorrow. So I waited until tomorrow hit. And then I specifically texted him, and I sent him this text. I said something to the extent of, I gotta tell you something. And he said, what? I said, I don't want to do it via text. I want you to come over so I can talk to you. And then he said, what? I think he said, what? Or trying to like basically get me to tell him. I said, you want to know now? And I said, I need a yes or a no. And I was like, I normally don't do this, but I need him to understand how serious this is. And he was like, yes. So I sent him the pregnancy test, a picture of after I had took it the next day. I had literally took it the minutes after I took it, but I saved it for the next day to tell him so I can send him a picture. And so when I sent him the picture, he didn't respond. He came right over to my house. Like within 15 minutes, he was at my house. I don't know where he was at in the city, but he came right to me. And so when he walked in the door, he was like, hey, you. And I was like, hey. And I was crying because I was scared. I wasn't scared that I was pregnant. I was scared of how is he going to react? How is he going to, like, what is this going to be like? Because I've never told him I was pregnant before. I missed that with the first pregnancy. And I was, like, afraid of how it was going to go, really. So I went on ahead and told him. He laid next to me on the bed, and he was like, when you get big and when you know, get big into your pregnancy, I'm gonna be here. I'm not gonna leave you hanging. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna make sure you straight. Now the whole pregnancy, he did make sure that I had water. I had to get on him about like making sure I had my cravings, because there would be times where I would be like, you know, can you get my cravings? He'd be like, you can't buy your cravings. No, you got me pregnant, you're supposed to get my cravings. So then he would get Faith and they would go to the store together. He was like, your mom want this, 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 and that. And he was like, I don't want no smoke. So he went on ahead and was walking around the store with Faith and getting my cravings. And he came in here with cravings. One thing he bought that I didn't have to tell him about. One thing that he would buy that I never had to tell him to buy was water. Because you know during your pregnancy, you're supposed to drink a lot of water. He would buy 2 gallons of Deer Park water. And he'd be like, no, I don't want you getting the Acme water from the Acme grocery store, the Acme brand water from them. He was like, I want you to drink Deer Park while you're pregnant with my baby. I also want you to get on seaweed during your pregnancy. And so then I was like, all right, whatever. Like the first 2 appointments he took me to, so we got to hear the heartbeat. No, we got to see Ezekiel on the screen in my tummy for the first time together. That was awesome. Then the second appointment, he started getting a little sketchy. Talking about, I got a baby mom that works in this hospital. I got a baby mom that works in the hospital. And it would be like, we would go to the door, and when we would go to the damn door, like, he would be looking around and he'd be like, I'm gonna take the steps, you go out the front door. Like, what are you being sketchy about? So I didn't question it. I just left it alone. We got in the car. He took me home. He would make sure that I had water every time. Like, yeah, he was there when he needed to be, but sometimes he was just a little bit sketchy. And so, yeah, the pregnancy went great. And then, like, I say my third, fourth month, we stopped dealing with each other intimately because he was saying, I don't like sleeping with women when they pregnant, when they get too big. And I don't want to do nothing to mess up the baby or do something to mess him up or anything. And I just don't want to do that. And so then he stopped dealing with me intimately, like when I was like 3.5, 4 months pregnant, because I was starting to get big and I was starting to show. And so I would argue, I would cry over being intimate because, like, when you're pregnant, you crave that. You know what I mean? So you're going to let me go without. So I had to end up going to go buy a toy to pleasure myself because he would leave me hanging. So the whole pregnancy, and I hated that. So, like, that was that. And there would be times where he would text me and be like, you look so cute pregnant. Because, like, on Fridays, I would have to get Faith. And I was pregnant, getting Faith, making sure Faith was, you know, situated on the weekends with me. And every time that he would drop Faith off and pick her up, he would always rub my belly. So that was that. So let's get into, like, the birth of him. So the day he was born was supposed to be January 15th, but he came early December the 4th. And so he ended up being in the NICU. He was only 4 pounds, and I forget what ounces it is. I need to find his crib card for real. And I think I went to a doctor's appointment at about 34.5 or 35.4 weeks. The 0.4 stands for days. And I went to my appointment. The checkup went really well. I was always really, really sick. I had caught gestational diabetes right when I hit 28 weeks. Like, I went to gestational diabetes and did the test, like, to drink the juice. And when I drank the little sweet juice, the test came back that I was at risk. So then I was going to the doctor more often because I had gestational diabetes. Then it was giving me all these needles and all of these things for diabetes and whatnot. And then I would have to, like, shoot myself with a needle. Then there was times where, like, my sugar was too high at my prenatal appointment. So they made me stay in the hospital for 3 days. I was going to vlog that. But I was just, like, not feeling good. Didn't feel like I looked good. I was, like, a hot mess while I was pregnant. And so, like, I just didn't record a lot. And they kept me for 3 days in the hospital. He came up to the hospital when I told him I had gestational diabetes. They was going to keep me for 3 days. And, like, that was that. And then after that, the week after, I went to my doctor's appointment. Everything checked out well. After everything checked out well, like, when you hit 30-something weeks, they send you, after your doctor's appointment, every time you have a doctor's appointment, down to put the contraction machine on you. They put the contraction machine on me to monitor. The contractions. I did good 2 of the contraction monitoring appointments after my appointment, and then for some reason this third one I was having contracting every 2-3 minutes, and she was like, you're contracting every 2-3 minutes, we gotta go ahead and send you to labor and delivery. And I was like, okay. So I got up, walked down to labor and delivery, sat there. They checked me in. When they checked me in, they actually wheeled me down in a wheelchair because I was contracting too much. And when they wheeled me in, I sat there for about 10 minutes. I was supposed to go somewhere with my case manager. Like, I think I was supposed to go grocery shopping. But I didn't end up doing that. So I had to call her while I was in labor and delivery and be like, girl, I'm not going to make it out. They keeping me. And she was like, what? I was like, yeah, they saying I'm contracting every 2-3 minutes. And they said they don't feel comfortable. So the lady, they monitoring me. And the lady was like, I just do not feel comfortable sending you home. I think we're going to have you have this baby today. So they make me drink this nasty ass brown stuff in a cup. I drink it. It's fucking disgusting. And I drink it, and then they're loading up doing the IV. I'm like, wait, can I call the dad? Can I call the dad? They're like, yeah, you can call him. I'm trying to call him on my cell phone, but there's no reception. So I'm like, is there the hospital phone that I could use? So I called him, and he answered. He like, you about to have the baby? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I need you to get here because, like, you know, I'm about to have the baby. And I said, they're moving pretty fast. I might not be able to get back to a phone to be able to call you and tell you what's going on. So when you walk up in here, ask them for labor and delivery, and then ask them where I am so you could come. So I go through the pregnancy and everything. I mean, I go through the having him and everything. When he comes out, he does not cry. I'm pissed. So I'm like, wait. They was like, oh, he's so cute. He's so cute. I could just hear them talk about how cute he was, but I didn't hear no wah. Nothing. He came out like a G without no tears. He did not cry. And he was just quiet. So they took him and rushed him to like the NICU. And the lady was like, can I use your phone? Can I take your phone and take pictures of him? And, you know, bring your phone back to you? And I was like, yeah. So she took my phone, brought him back to me, and then she sent me these pictures. He was so beautiful. So I'm looking at my baby dad. I'm like, he's beautiful. And so me and him, we're waiting to go down to like the NICU. So I told him, I don't want you to go to the NICU without me. Go with me. So instead of us getting a walk-in or using a wheelchair to wheel down there, they wheeled the whole bed on wheels down to the NICU. So I had to be in the bed. They didn't want me to get out of the bed because my legs were still numb. So we go, they scoop the bed, we look at him, we see him. He in a little machine or whatever, we holding him. Well, no, we wasn't holding him. I don't think I was allowed to touch him or something because he was feeding. And that was that. And if y'all not familiar with my NICU series, and I had Faith with me in the NICU when it was like my time to have her and stuff, and she would have to go to the NICU with me. When I came home, when I say I didn't get a break before Children's Services got involved, I didn't get a break. Like, I was in pain, I was hurting, I was everything. Getting up, walking, third day in, Children's Services is coming to my room. I'm not going to tell that story because that's a video in itself too. And if you didn't watch that video, y'all can go back and watch it. But the third day, I'm at the hospital healing from my C-section, and Children's Services shows up to my room with a phone call to begin with. And it was just like so crazy. And every day that my baby was in the NICU, BD took me. Every day. We never missed a day. He was always ready before I was ready. Like, be ready. I'm on my way to come get you and take you to the NICU. I'm on my way to come get you and we about to go to the NICU. And so, like, he would go with me, and there would be some days I would go by myself because he would have other things to do or other stuff going on with the other children. And so someday, a lot of the days he would go with me, and then a lot of the days I would go by myself. So that was that, and that's how that went. And it was so crazy, man. And so baby boy is 8 months old today. He's on his way home from, like, being out of my custody. And that's the story time of that. Now he's healthy. He's 8 months. He's got just quite the personality. And yeah, that's my story time about baby Zeke and how my pregnancy was with Zeke. And we will talk later. And thank you for joining in on my story time Saturdays.